Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. HGM here with a bit of interesting news. A update post has been made over on the PTS forums talking more about update 35 specifically and some additional changes. Now, if you saw my earlier video this week, week 3 PTS was pretty underwhelming. Not a lot of the changes that were asked for were actually implemented. And I think, I mentioned that this is probably part of an ongoing process and we'd have to wait till weeks 4 and 5 to really see how things played out. But today on Friday, we actually got a bit of a preview of what's coming up in the next few weeks. It does seem like the developers have been listening and they're actually throwing in some additional updates that I think will be nice. So let's go ahead and read through the post, and I will have a link in the description below so you guys can put your comments on this thread as well. This is from Gina. She says, "Hi everyone, we want to take a minute to give you some insight into some additional changes coming to the PTS affecting combat and balance. As we've continued to read through your feedback from testing these changes, we determined that some of our goals were actively competing with each other and not reaching the target audiences in ways we intended. We ultimately want to raise the floor and reduce the ceiling in regard to DPS output, while simultaneously improving class balance in some problematic areas. So far, this has led to competing changes that have hurt some groups of players, despite us stating that we didn't want to actively harm playstyles with any particular change." This is 100% true, and it's kind of nice to see them admit this. With the initial preview that we got of Update 35, they made it seem like, hey, this is going to be the best thing for beginners and even like heavy attack builds. It's going to be easier for you to compete in content. And we know, obviously, once we actually got the Update 35 PTS, that it was nowhere close to that. So I feel like this is kind of an admission of maybe where things went wrong, which I think is a good start. And then they continue on. "We are committed to following through with additional ways to mitigate these issues while still meeting the intended goals." So a couple of changes we can look forward to, which I'm excited about. Next week's PTS patch, we'll be reevaluating some of the adjustments to light and heavy attacks, so they'll be less drastic. Light and heavy attacks will once again scale with your stats, just to a lesser extent than before. So overall, there will still be a nerf on light attack damage, but this will allow us to give a lot more love to heavy attacks with a less stark difference. So there you go. This is something I've been talking about since week 1, since these patch notes came out. The changes were much too harsh on heavy attack builds. The scaling was way too low, even with things like heavy attack sets, Maelstrom, backbar staff, anything you could do, it was not enough for heavy attack builds. So hopefully the scaling is dramatic. It's hopefully increased to a place where something like a heavy attack lightning staff build is viable for solo content. So I will definitely be diving into that next week and testing it out. They go on here, there'll be some more tweaks to class abilities based on feedback we've received. But the majority of these will come in the final PTS patch. So if you're looking for a class-specific balance, sounds like that's not going to be next week, which is week 4, but probably the following week, the week 5 patch. And they do give the focus here. The adjustments will be on Magicka-based Nightblades, Wardens, and Sorcerers. Now here's something really interesting that I know some people were asking for if they would ever do this. I'm actually really surprised they took this route because it seems like a lot of work, but let me know what you think. Additionally, for Dungeons and Trials, we'll be reducing the health of all bosses on veteran difficulty and above in the final PTS patch to account for overall DPS loss. For Trials specifically, we'll be reducing the health of all champions, bannermen on veteran difficulty and above. The reduction in health for each boss will vary from encounter to encounter, but the results should be that each dungeon and trial boss fight will provide a similar challenge to what is on live currently. Trial bannermen and champions provide a challenge in their own right, so we felt additional adjustments were warranted. So that to me is really interesting. I know some people have asked for this. If you're lowering DPS across the board, then how is that going to fit into trials, specifically hard modes where people are, right on the edge of being able to complete that content now on the live server? They wouldn't be able to do it once this patch goes live. Sounds like they're trying to address that kind of from both sides, stabilizing the DPS, but then also lowering boss health in those encounters. Now, I didn't see any mention of arena content like solo arenas. That is a concern in my opinion, so I'll probably be leaving a comment on this thread and asking about that. But overall, I think these are definitely a few steps in the right direction. Let me know what you guys think. Finally, they say here, we recognize there's been a lot of concern surrounding the combat changes on the PTS, and we believe with continued adjustments and iterations, this is the best course of action for the long-term health of the game. We're also working on a brief Q&A that should help address some of the more general concerns surrounding these issues. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder if that's a live, like an ESO live that they might have coming up, probably to coincide with the launch of Update 35. A couple of other things here. Further down, Gina also said there is an adjustment planned for Nocturnal's Ploy, which is one of the new PvP sets. Just an adjustment of the cooldown as far as they've mentioned so far. I know that set is pretty problematic in PvP. So I'm not sure that just a cooldown adjustment is enough for that. And then one more response here from Finn, who is the dungeon lead. One more note regarding the content changes. He previously stated we wanted to gather as much information as possible to gauge the impact of combat changes on the content in the game. This is a multi-pronged approach, which is a collaboration between combat, dungeon, and QA teams, as well as player feedback, logs, and captures. And given the overwhelming response and the wealth of information we have collected, we felt confident that we could make these content changes in order to ensure that the game maintained the challenge players are used to without a major shift in difficulty. Again, thanks to all the community members that have logged on to the PTS, played, reported, and provided feedback, logs, and video captures. So pretty interesting. I honestly did not expect anything at all from the developers until next Monday when we got the week 4 PTS. I do like this. I do like to see the direction that they're going. It does seem like they're listening to feedback, even admitting a little bit of wrongdoing on their part, or at least mentioning that the goal of this patch did not really line up with their intentions or what they said it was going to be initially. Remember, we do have at least 2 more weeks plus the live patch. So up to 3 more patches, I would say, for them to even keep working around these issues, which is good. But as always, let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Do you think we're on the right track here? And given these upcoming changes, what is left? What do you feel like still needs to change in this newest update? As always, thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, make sure to like the video and make sure you're subscribed for more ESO updates, guides, and builds. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you around in the next video.